Hey everyone, welcome to Taste Different Gaming Appetizers. What are we talking about this time? Well, gamers are becoming less interested in games with deep strategy, a study has found. So the report comes from Quantic Foundry, collected 9 years of data from the researchers' own gamer motivation profile tool, which tracks how appealing different aspects of games are to different people. Categories include destruction, excitement, competition, community, challenge, strategy, completion, power, fantasy, story, discovery, and design. Quantic Foundry looked back on what motivated gamers across the years and found that all have remained relatively consistent except for one, which is strategy. Gamers who score high on this component enjoy games that require careful decision making and planning. Its summary states, they like to think through their options and likely outcomes. These may be decisions related to balancing resources and completing goals, managing foreign diplomacy, or finding optimal long-term strategies. They tend to enjoy both tactical combat in games like XCOM or Fire Emblem, as well as seeing their carefully devised plans come to fruition with games like Civilization and City Skylines, to name some of the different games in those strategy aspects. But across the 1.7 million surveys, Quantum Foundry found that 2/3 of strategy fans worldwide, except China, where gamers have a very different gaming motivation profile, have lost interest in this element of video games. 67% of gamers today care less about strategic thinking and planning when playing games than the average gamer back in 2015, June of 2015. The report read. When we looked for long-term trends across the 12 motivations, we found that many motivations were stable or experienced minor deviations over the past 9 years, Quantum Foundry said. Strategy was a clear exception and had substantially declined over the past 9 years, and the magnitude of this change was more than twice the size of the next largest change. That is huge. So it basically strategized itself off a cliff, pretty much. So, there's different theories like the likes of Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and other social media apps have accelerated the underlying trend. However, other potential hypotheses is that the increasing negativity, polarization, intrusiveness, and emotional manipulation of social media have created persistent cognitive overload on the finite cognitive resources we have, Quantum Foundry said. Put simply, we may be too worn out by social media to think deeply about things. Basically, to put that into perspective, that means we are just getting more dumb. So, that could, regardless of the cause, Quantum Foundry says, it's clear that gamers have become less interested in strategic thinking over the past 9 years, which implies that games are now more easily cognitively overloaded when they play, or gamers are easily cognitively overloaded when they play games and are more likely to avoid strategic complexity. So basically, they want simple games, ones that bright colors, simple shapes. We're getting dumb. We like, bright colors and simple shapes. We've gone back to when we were babies and, the thing that could oogle you and keep your mind occupied was blocks and that, what is that little, the shape game, where you get the blocks and you put them in
round
the holes.
Peg, square hole.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Papa's keys.
Exactly.
Ooh.
We have gone from being intellectual gladiators to now we like simple, bright colors and blocks. What do you think, Shane?
I think you're right. I think the article is sad, but it's right. If you look at the most popular games, there's not a lot of strategic games out there. Turn-based RPGs, for instance, those are pretty much null and void except for the few and far between we get from Japan. RTSs and things like that are few and far between anymore as well. We have become very straight path oriented gamers, uh, straight thought, no deviations. And I think you're right. I think we have become, that 4-year-old who's trying their hardest to make that star figure go into the circle hole. I mean, just get in there. I know you do it. That's just the way things seem to be going. And that's not just gamers, though. That is civilization. It seems that way. And I think you're right. And the article's right. The fact that everything is right there anymore, internet, pretty much makes thought obsolete. I work in architecture, so if I want to know what a building code is for a certain place, I can just Google it. Now, if I was 10 years back, 15 years back, those kind of things weren't as interneted as they are now. And then I can just, then I have to just get up. I have to go find a book for that place. I have to read through it, find it, and all that stuff. Now I can just put in, what is this? And it tells me what this is. That's it. Everything is handed to us. That's why we have become very lazy and dumb. Now I'm not trying to be, a dick, but people have gotten dumber. Hell, I've gotten dumber with certain things in life. Can you remember a phone number that's not your own? Not too many people can anymore. I remember my wife's. I remember mine. I always get it wrong, but I sometimes remember it. We just don't have those games that enthrall and put us into a mindset that's purely focus as we used to. RPGs were about strategy in the day. You come across a fire creature. What do? Throw fire at it. Well, no, you don't. you plan accordingly. You equip accordingly. You think accordingly. To take care of certain areas on a map. Are going to be more leaning towards elementals of this or that or whatever. You don't have that anymore. I mean, a lot of RPGs are just all pure action based now. There's not a lot of forward thinking. Dragon's Dogma 2 came out. Love Dragon's Dogma 2. Love it. Just it's in my, as of right now, it is in my top game of the year list. But it is not as focused in those ways that used to be with RPGs. Still an amazing game. You still do have to put some thought into things. You truly do. But it's not like the games of old where you really, you basically set up classes for each kind of world you want to enter and exit. And we don't have that no more. And it sucks. Elden Ring is an amazing game, but it's a very forward game. It's a very, you still have to put some thoughts and strategies into certain things, but it's not as detail oriented. It's not as broad as it used to be. And I'm not good at explaining myself, but hopefully people are getting what I mean. I wish we weren't like this, but there's no turning back for us. That's why games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, all of those are just so overwhelmingly popular and make so much money, is because anybody can jump in without a thought and play those games. They're very simple to play, hard to master, but simple to play. And we just don't got that as much as we don't got the strategy games as much as we used to. We don't have the RTSs that really made you plan things out, because Nick will waffle stomp almost anybody in a good RTS. But
I'll try.
Well, I know you've made me your pain to bear a few times, so I'm trying not to say bitch.
I mean, I love strategy games, and so
I do too.
it really the thing. I mean, we'll still get them, right, but it's not going to be a priority for developers, right? If they use this as like a an idea of what to make, right? And you're exactly right with Call of Duty, right? They can rinse and repeat Call of Duty every year. It's the same game as it was last year and the year before that and the year before that, but it sells like hotcakes because you're exactly right. People will buy it because it's simple and easy and you can just get in and play it, and that's where all the people are going to be, right? Everyone's, not everybody, but a lot of people will transition over from the last Call of Duty, just like an iPhone or a new Samsung Android or whatever. They'll transition from the old one to the top line new one, even though really the difference between the old one and the new one isn't much different at all. Same thing with Madden that comes out every year. It's the same damn game every year. They just change some features that they had before or introduce things that they took out 2 years ago back into the game and call it new. And then people are like, oh, and it still sells, or FIFA or whatever, and it still sells like hotcakes. So, yeah, I mean, games like City Skylines or XCOM or things like that. We're still going to get games like that, but um, I think you're going to see more few and far between in those categories, unfortunately, and that's because simple sells, right? Simpler you make something, the easier it is to sell it.
Now, now that's not always a bad thing, though.
Sure.
There's some games that just have forward paths that are very well done. God of War is an excellent example. It's very front to back, and sometimes as a gamer, you want that. You want that game that just gives you a story and a path, and there you go. But as an older gamer, and yeah, I'm old. I've had a few comments about how damn old I am. Well, suck a ball. I like the older games. I like the strategy games of old. Um, I think a game that makes you think more, concentrate on the game more, concentrate on your story more, is a better game overall. Uh, Games like God of War, story driven, focused, boom, there you go. But games like Civilization, it's such a broader story that you get to deal with, and then the combat alone is just it's a big thought fest. You got to think things through. You got to plan, and then you have to alternate your plans when they go to crap because somebody decided they were going to come up, from your right flank and shish kebab your sphincter. Those are great games. Those games like that make you think are fun. I mean, they just are. People want an easy win anymore, though. That's the reason Call of Duty's they work so well. It's just anybody can win in Call of Duty. Me and Nick won. We took a first place in was it a PUBG game, PUBG match we played. It was like our first one too. We got it. We got chicken. We got the dinner. Whatever it was, but it was anybody can get it eventually. It's because it's just a here to there, shoot, 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 and I like those games, but I need some. I want some thought provoking games too. So, but I can see it. The world is definitely not. The world is more easily accessible. Information is more easily accessible. You don't have to work to get the answers you want. You don't have to work hard to get the things that you want to get. If you want to, used to be me and Nick, we have some retro games. Nick has a butt ton more. I've got some back there. If I wanted to find retro games, I would go yard selling or certain stores. Now I can just type it up, hit the button, hit pay, and it's mine. I'm paying an arm and a leg, but it's mine. Everything is so easily accessible now. It makes us want to have everything easily, and that's sad. And as a gamer, I don't want to see that ruin a good strategy series. If Civilization's coming out, I don't want to see them dumb it down. To make it more accessible. Nothing wrong with certain accessibility changes, but sometimes you can put too much.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, right? I mean, You're exactly right. I don't mind playing simple games from time to time, or or whatever. That's fine. And there's times and places for those types of in types of games, right? When you don't want to sit there and think and stuff like that. The biggest thing that I just don't want to see happen is I don't want to see developers turn away from creating some sort of deep strategy game because they're like, well, it's not, gamers aren't interested in this. And you're exactly right, or come out with a new Command and Conquer, or StarCraft, or whatever, XCOM or Civilization game, and it's just all dumbed down to like bare basic click here and you got a whole, city, or something like that. And it's like, you know, I want that deep strategy because there is a time and a place where I want to play a game that I have to sit there and think about how to plan things out. Like I have one I'm playing right now, which is an indie game, Song of Sticks, or Manor Lords that just came out too long for the early access, and that's a very strategic thought. You got to think about how you're planning out your city or city skylines too. I've been playing a lot of that too, and you got to really plan out your city and how you're going to build things and how you're going to administer resources and things like that. So, uh, there's times where I like those games and I like playing them, and then there's other times where I want to shut my brain off and play, you know, gun in hand and just shoot at whatever moves, type game. So there's time and place for all of it. And my biggest thing is not saying like I don't play those games or something like that, like I'm some sort of intellectual gladiator or something like that. What I'm saying is just I don't want developers to shy away from making those types of games, or thinking about making those types of games or making deep strategy games because the gamers are just not interested in those things, right? That's the thing I would hate to see go away. I don't want everything to be rock paper scissors, or just simple put square block and round hole games. uh I want a mixture of both, right? I want some of those, but I also want some deep thought provoking games, strategy games. So
Yeah, it's everything is just so spoon fed. It's really making us a weaker society. It's making us a dumber society. Um, you know, tools are only as smart as the people that use them. So eventually, our tools aren't going to get any smarter because we've gotten just to the point of dumb that we're not going to be able to advance them. So, and it's not to knock anybody, but it's just the way it is. I mean, we've got as gamers, we got to get those games to continue. So if you know people that don't play nothing but Call of Duty, try to get them to play Civilizations. My son plays RTSs. He's 13, and I'm actually surprised. I think he gets it from his uncle Nick over there, but he's really enjoying those. But he's a super smart kid, like smarter than I ever was. So, but I want that for him. I want him to be a thinking person. I want my girls to be thinking kids. And I think strategy games help with your intelligence. I think anything that makes you think, makes you plan, I think is good for you. And you know, games of strategy do that. So we need more strategy games. We need a God of War RTS. That's what we need. Where you can
there you
command an
go.
army of Kratoses.
Kratoses.
Kratos. What's the plural for Kratos?
I don't know.
Kratosi?
Kratosis.
Kratosis. It sounds like something you have to brush off your tongue.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, yeah, problem solving, right? It helps problem solving skills, right? And boost those because you're trying to, well, solve a problem, right? How do I get resources or collect things to build whatever I'm building? How am I going to strategically take down something, or strategically take over a land, or do whatever I need to do to advance the outcome of what I'm trying to accomplish? So a lot of thinking, but anyway, I mean, that's the main thing. Just don't want to see strategy games go to the wayside because they don't make money, right? and that might be what developers glean from a survey like this, right? Is that, oh, well, strategy is not popular, so let's not make that strategy game, right? When it could be really cool. We have that new strategy game coming out, I think later this year. Ara, I think it's called Ara History Untold or History something or other. One Microsoft's making. I don't know. It kind of looks like Age of Empires, but it's well, it's not Microsoft making it, but I think it's coming out for Xbox and PC. Or at least it was showcased on Xbox's showcase like last time they had it. It could be coming out to everything. I don't know. But anyway, so that looks interesting. That might be a fun one. But yeah, I just want to see more of that stuff continue to come out and be developed. Do you have anything else you want to add to this, Shane?
Nope. No more square pegs round holes.
No more square pegs, round holes. Yep.
Got to use a bigger hammer.
I want my pudding.
Pudding.
All right. Let us know down in the comments below. Do you play strategy games? Do you like strategy games? What do you think of the survey saying that strategy games aren't as popular? They've surveyed a lot of things, and that's kind of the conclusion they came up with. This is over 9 years, so they've just seen the decline in the popularity of those types of games. But let us know in the comments below what you think. Other than that, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Help us out. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell, vote notifications to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time, and we will see you next time.
See ya.